All right, so thank you for tuning in to Chomping at the Bit. I'm Kyle Ayers, of course. I know it's been a while. It's been, I think, about a couple of weeks since I last uploaded an episode. And that, I was dealing with a personal thing, so I wasn't able to upload, but I'm back now. And since I have missed a couple of weeks, I just want to say that hopefully you guys had a Merry Christmas, or just happy holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate. And now that we are into the new year, just want to say Happy New Year to you guys. Hope your 2022 is a great year, and put 2021 behind you, and let's look forward. And with that, stay tuned for, future episodes. There are some things that I'm working on in terms of the structure of the podcast and all that. And when I'm ready to let you know what's going on, I'll do that. I can kind of let you know some things, I was basically, my vision for 2022 with this podcast would like to at some point transition to a video podcast. So trying to figure all that out. And with that, I'm hoping that at some point 2022, we can do watch parties on some games, and that way create an avenue to be interactive, because of course if we're doing a watch party, can have a chat going and all that kind of stuff. So those are just a couple of things that I'm looking forward to for 2022 as we get, as I get closer to making those things happen. I'll definitely let you know then. But for now, let's go ahead and get into the reason for this episode, which we're going to talk about the NFL. And we know that it is week 17, which previous years, this would have been the final week of the regular season. But with the 17th game, we get an extra week next week. Now, for those of you who are playing fantasy football, this is the championship week, I believe, for a lot of you. And hey, it makes the games even that more interesting. And I will have to say that with the scheduling adjustment that the league made some years ago, it's created a lot of intrigue, because just looking at the schedule for this week, every game but I believe 2 have legit playoff implications. So that's great for the league. And then looking towards next week, we know that the last week of the schedule is all divisional games. So it's probably going to be the same thing next week. And I think that's something that really sets apart the NFL from other leagues, because one, with all these teams, still having a shot at a playoff, it just creates, better atmospheres in stadiums. It gives fans more incentives to go. And then for the viewing audience, it just makes the games better. So yeah, as I said, taking a look at the standings real quick, the only teams that have been completely eliminated from playoff considerations are in the AFC, Jets, Texans, and the Jaguars. That's it. Everybody else has a shot. In the NFC, we have the Panthers, Bears, Seahawks, Giants, Lions, all eliminated. So that is what? 11 in the NFC. So 24 teams still have legit aspirations to make the playoffs. Now, for those of you, this may be your first time joining the show. Appreciate you stopping by. So what I do is, early in the season, I would actually go through each matchup, give my point of view on it, and then give you my pick. But what I've been doing recently is that instead of doing it that way, kind of just talk about the whole week schedule in terms of like questions I'm looking to get answered. And then by doing that, some of the matchups will kind of pop up into the conversation. And then at the very end of the episode, I run through each game and I give you my picks there. And also, if you follow me on Twitter at Chompin' Podcast, I also tweet out my picks there as well. So, and then with the picks, since I think I missed a couple of weeks or maybe a week, I don't know. But current standing right now, I'm 103, 102, and 2, and I pick against the spread. So I'm above 500 against the spread, which is decent. I did say I wanted to be closer to 60%. Probably won't get there, but we'll still try. And then for this season, I've been keeping track of my underdog picks. I've actually done really well picking underdogs. So I'm 35, 27, and 1 picking underdogs. And the last week I did do picks. I was 8 and 6. I believe that was week. I think that was week 15, I want to say. But actually it might have been week 14. Whatever. But so we go through this. I've got 2 more weeks to better my 103, 102, and 2 record. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started on the action on the field. So with all these games having playoff implications, obviously that's going to be the biggest story going for this weekend. And for me, it's going to be, I feel like the division leaders, for the most part, I think those races there are still some races there. But for me, the intriguing races are in the wild cards. So this is going to be an opportunity where, with only 2 games left, for a lot of these teams, if they win one out of the 2, they'll probably get into the playoffs. And for me, and hopefully for you as a fan base, for whatever team you are, just get into the playoffs. Whether you had a slow start, went on a run, in that case, you're probably happy to get into the playoffs. But if your team started off really well, slumped a little bit, as long as they get in, be happy, because you just have to get in. We've seen several instances where wildcard teams have gone on to go to the Super Bowl and ultimately win the Super Bowl. So it's all about matchups once you get into the playoffs. And like I said, 24 teams still have a chance. So if you can get a win this week, further solidify your shot at getting one of the 7 spots in each conference, you got to go for it. And with the wild card teams, we have an interesting thing to me. The AFC, we have Baltimore, where once again Lamar Jackson is not going to play. And for you Baltimore fans, I feel like these past couple of weeks, even Lamar played, it still would have been iffy if they would have gotten into the playoffs. I mean, they started off the year well. Middle part of the season, started seeing some cracks in their team. The limitations offensively. Lost a couple of bad games, and now they've fallen completely out of the playoff race. And this week, they're facing a Rams team that, the Rams are trying to get 1 seed in the NFC, so they have a lot to play for. And I just don't know. So the Ravens are a team that this is going to be make or break for them, clearly. And like looking at the teams outside of the playoffs right now in the AFC, because to me when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking like what's most likely to less likely to happen. So Ravens getting a win, that's less likely. The Chargers, who are outside looking in, they have a matchup with the Broncos. I think there's a likely chance that they get a win there. Raiders are playing the Colts. The Colts are dealing with the Carson Wentz situation where he was on the COVID list. I believe he's off the list now, but now he's waiting for the doctor's okay to play. For me, I'm assuming that means he'll get the okay probably before game time. But if he doesn't and he misses the game, that gives the Raiders an opportunity to, go ahead, steal a win there, and further muddy the playoff picture. So that one, not really sure. For right now, say probably isn't likely to happen that the Raiders get a win there. The Steelers and Browns play each other, so obviously the loser of that game is eliminated. And with that Steelers game, we have the outside story about Big Ben, where once again he was talking, says basically most likely that this is his last game at Heinz Field. Once again, it's a vague way of putting whether he's going to retire or look to play somewhere else. Hopefully he's thinking retirement, because I said it here for weeks now. He needs to retire. But with the athlete, the mentality is always that they always feel like they can go another year, I think. Until they obviously can't, whether it's their body telling them they can't or whatever. So that is an interesting side story to that matchup, because it's against a rival in Cleveland. At Heinz Field, the crowd's going to have a lot of emotion for Big Ben. And we'll have to see. Does Big Ben play up to the emotion, have like a vintage game, and I guess ride off into the sunset on a high? Or do we see the Big Ben that we've seen recently, where it's really struggled and just looks like a guy that needs to get out? So interesting there. I guess since they're playing each other, I guess I could say it's likely that the Steelers could win. I can also say for the Browns, it's likely that the Browns could beat the Steelers. That one's a toss-up right now. And like I said, the Broncos playing the Chargers. Broncos have issues with no Bridgewater, so they're playing Drew Lock. And we know Drew Lock isn't that good. So that's the teams on the outside looking in. Likely, less likely. But the teams that are actually in the AFC playoffs, the Dolphins are an intriguing one, because the Dolphins went from probably most disappointing team in the league to now, after this hot run that they went on, where they won 7 straight, they're now the 7th seed in the AFC, and everything's right in front of them to possibly get into the playoffs, because they have the Titans this week. Going to be a tough game for them, but if they're able to find a way there, and we've seen Tennessee struggle, especially since Derrick Henry went down. For Miami, they're going to have to basically make Ryan Tannehill beat him. But by doing that, you can't get reckless in the secondary and allow, whether it's A.J. Brown or I guess Julio, if he's playing, to find pockets in your defense, because Tannehill is good enough to make plays in the passing game. So yes, there's an opportunity for Miami there, but they also know that if they were to slip up, they get New England next week. Let's see. out of New England. New England, we're going to see what team are they exactly. You know, they've got the slow start in the beginning of the season, the hot run that they went on, but now they've lost 2 in a row. But they seemingly have a bounce back game this week against Jacksonville before the matchup with Miami next week. So at this point, if New England wins, they get to 10-6. For the AFC, you get 10 wins, you're in. That's a definite at this point. So New England, they need to treat this one as a must-win because you don't want to leave it a chance next week against a Miami team that, past years has shown the ability to, beat New England late in the year to really mess up their playoff plans. So I think from New England up, that's your top 6 seeds there. You have the Chiefs 11 wins. They've already clinched. Tennessee's got 10 wins, and they have the Dolphins, so the Titans could probably knock out the Dolphins, but the Titans get a win, they'll be in. I mean, I think with 10 wins right now, the Titans are probably safe because for them, they're just going to be looking to see like a Baltimore. Like I'm assuming, not really knowing all the tie-breaking aspects, but if Baltimore, the Chargers, Raiders, Steelers were to lose, then the Titans would probably get in anyway. So I think the Titans are safe. So between the Bengals, Bills, Colts, Patriots, all at 9-6, win one of the last 2, they're in. So you're really looking at that 7 seed as probably the only seed up in the air. And interesting enough, for a division that I guess got looked down upon for a lot of years, the AFC East, there's a legit chance that they could get 3 teams into the playoffs this year with Buffalo, New England, and Miami. Now, Miami still has a shot at the division, but for right now, we're looking at it as just the Bills-Patriots 2-team race right now. Miami would have to win out, obviously, to have a chance at the division, and they would need, I guess, New England and Buffalo to lose their last 2. I guess. Yeah. That's the only way they could get in. So, the AFC still wide open. So if the Dolphins, let's see, Titans and New England, there's a good chance the Dolphins lose both of those games. But there's probably the same chance that they win out and win both of them and get to 10-7. The Baltimore situation with Lamar and their quarterback, I'm counting Baltimore out. Crazier things have happened, but I'm not really thinking of them as a legit player in all this. I think the only team on the outside that has a chance to crash the party and probably knock Miami out are the Chargers. The Chargers have the Broncos this week and Raiders next week. 2 very winnable games. And who do the Raiders have this week? Okay, the Raiders have the Colts. I just said that. So maybe we should say Chargers or Raiders. Because if the off chance both those teams win this week, get to 9-7, they play each other next week. Most likely, winner gets in at that point. So Chargers, Raiders are the 2 teams on the outside of the AFC playoff picture right now that I think have the best chance to get in over a Miami. Because like I said, I'm assuming, with New England playing Jacksonville, likely to get a win. Buffalo's playing the Falcons, likely to get a win. Now, Cincinnati has a tough game against Kansas City, so they're a team that could conceivably lose that game, then go into next week looking to win and get in. But they have the Browns next week. So maybe it's too soon to think it's just the Miami slot that's open, but that's what I'm going with right now. I think the top 6 will get in some way, maybe not necessarily with, well, Kansas City's probably going to finish number 1 overall, but Tennessee 2, Cincinnati 3, Buffalo 4, Indy 5, New England 6. They could very easily be New England as a 3 seed by the end of the season, Buffalo as a 5 or something. So AFC is definitely more intriguing than the NFC, but the NFC real quick. Wow, a lot of the NFC spots are already clinched. So right now we have Green Bay, Dallas, the Rams, Bucks, and Cardinals have all clinched playoff spots. Those are all teams that are 10 wins or better. And so that leaves the last 2 spots available. Right now you got the Niners and Eagles both at 8 and 7. And then looking outside, you have Minnesota, Falcons, Saints, all 7 and 8. Washington at 6 and 9. That's the only team still available right now. Washington has the Eagles, so Washington has a great chance. I mean, they're hanging on by a thread right now. So it's an elimination game for Washington. And with the Eagles are an interesting team because I guess so much of their success and their ability to win and lose games hinges on Jalen Hurts and that running game. Because right now Jalen Hurts won't exactly kill you passing the ball, but his mobility aids Philly in having a really good running game, because not only do you have to count for the running backs, but you have to count for Hurts in the running game. I believe Miles Sanders has like a hand issue. So let's see, does that level the playing field enough for Washington? Because Washington has talent. We've seen Tyler Heineke pull great performances, out of his hat or whatever, certain situations to get key wins. And there's no better time than to do it now, because like I said, Washington needs to win out at this point to have any shot. And they have the Eagles this week. They have the Giants next week. So if they can get this win against the Eagles this week, they're probably looking at a guaranteed win against the Giants next week. And at least that way, say they did all they could. I mean, they'd be 8 and 9. Not exactly a big fan of below 500 teams making the playoffs, but we've seen with the NFC this year. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. But Washington's probably the least likely team to get in at this point, to be honest with you. We have the Saints Falcons, who I believe play each other next week. Yes. So, with the Falcons sitting at 7 and 8, they have a tough game this week against Buffalo. I believe, and that game is in Buffalo, so not feeling too optimistic right now for Atlanta, because if they lose, that's a 9th loss. They'll probably be out, because once again, for the Eagles, they basically just have to win one of the last 2 here. And this game against Washington is their best chance, because they're the Cowboys next week. And for the simple fact that the Cowboys will have something to play for next week, not really a chance that the Eagles can probably luck into a win next week because the Cowboys sit people or whatever. Probably not going to happen. And most likely with divisional games next week, you're not going to see a lot of that anyway because within your division, you don't want to give up a game to a divisional foe, which is, I think, is another reason why the NFL decision on that was a great decision for me. So I'm going to say it's probably most likely the Eagles win one of their final two, secure one of the final two NFC spots. And then the Niners have the Texans this week, Rams next week. So same for the Niners. Win this week against the Texans, get into the playoffs, and then you don't have to worry about anything next week. Let's see. The Vikings play the Packers and Bears, but they don't have Kirk Cousins this week because he's on the COVID list. So that game against the Bears could go. No, not the Bears. Sorry. Against the Packers. I mean, it was going to be a tall test with Kirk Cousins. Without Kirk Cousins, pretty much zero chance. So for me right now, I believe after Sunday, the NFC playoffs should be wrapped up with the 49ers and Eagles securing the final two spots. And then, well, fortunately next week, the playoff picture will be set, but the seeding will still be in place, so the games will still be important. But yeah. So for the 49ers and Eagles, like I said, it's there, right there in front of them to claim a playoff spot. And I'd have to, can't remember the notes I took, but I think the three teams I thought were going to be in the wild card were, well, at that point, I think it was going to be one of the NFC West teams. I thought it was going to be the Rams. I'm pretty sure I picked the Niners. I don't think I picked the Eagles. I think I thought the Vikings would get in. And looks like the Vikings probably aren't going to get in, obviously, because this weekend's Green Bay, not looking good. They'll be eliminated Sunday. But this would be really good for the Eagles to get in. Although the Niners, I just remembered, Garoppolo, I believe, is doubtful to play. So that means we're going to get to see Trey Lance. They are playing the Texans, though. So even with Trey Lance, they should be able to beat the Texans, I think. So yeah, I think those two get in, and the NFC playoffs will be set. I was just taking a quick look at the AFC again. Yeah, I don't really see the AFC being locked up after this week. There's still going to be some open spots there. Oh yeah, quickly, I guess before I go any further, just want to say, I guess over this weekend we learned of, I guess, two pretty big deaths in the NFL community. So I just wanted to say, well, I'm talking about John Madden, which I'm sure most of you remember, and Dan Reeves, former coach of, I know he coached in Atlanta. I want to say he coached in Denver. But, yeah, two big name personalities around the NFL. So, just want to say, RIP to them. Condolences to their families and all that. Just want to say that real quick. Of course, the Madden had a big impact on probably everybody. I have to say he's probably the most well-known NFL broadcaster. Unless you're under the age of, 10 or something? I don't know. But, I mean, he's most recognizable voice. Him, Pat Summerall, great team together. Of course, his legacy with the Madden video game franchise will last for years down the road. I mean, he's probably more known for that to, once again, certain age group. But I mean, it was crazy because they showed the Madden documentary. Was it Sunday? And then he died for Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. But yeah. Then Dan Reeves was. I believe that happened on Saturday. So wanted to make sure I got that in before I, finished up this episode. But yeah, it was just crazy. But yeah, so getting back to the games again. I think that's it. Oh yeah, so like I said in the beginning, every game, playoff implications. The only two that don't, like I said, we have Lions or Seahawks. Both teams are eliminated, so absolutely no interest there. And then Bears, Giants. Both teams are eliminated. Those are the only two games on the schedule where there aren't playoff implications. Crazy. But yeah. So what else? Talk about Big Ben. I thought there was something. Oh yeah, so I don't know if you heard this, but wrapping up here shortly. I heard Russell Wilson getting tied into this Big Ben story. I don't know if you heard this or not, but supposedly people are starting to kick around the idea of Russell Wilson finding his way to Pittsburgh, because I think to a lot of people, they're assuming that Russell Wilson's gonna, I guess, force his way out of Seattle or ask his way out, whatever, in the offseason. And of course, if Big Ben were to retire, then Pittsburgh's definitely going to need a quarterback. I guess to me, one, I just can't picture Russell Wilson not in Seattle. So if it's something where in the offseason it turns into a Russell Wilson versus Pete Carroll type thing, I can safely say, I'm going to assume that Seattle would side with Russell Wilson and they would just move on from Pete Carroll. Once again, stranger things have happened. Maybe Russell Wilson's just done with the whole organization and there's nothing that they can do to save it at this point. And then if that's the case, I mean, I guess Pittsburgh is as good of a place as any for him to go. I don't know where else he would really go. Would he want to go to Houston? Probably not. They're not really close to winning anything anytime soon. Pittsburgh, there's talent there. Are they Super Bowl contenders? To me, if you plug in Russell Wilson over a Big Ben, probably not. Are they a playoff team? Yes. So I guess I can see it there. But just looking around, I don't know who else would need a quarterback like that. Miami. I mean, Miami's always looking to move on from Tua. But I'm sure we'll hear in the offseason about Miami trying to get... why am I blanking on his name? Watson from Houston. Honestly, blanked on his first name, which is crazy. That just shows he hasn't played in a while. That's starting to forget him. Deshaun Watson. There we go. Just remembered it. So, if Miami were to go that route, then I guess Pittsburgh would really be the only team left. Well, the Giants, they're always looking to move on from Daniel Jones. Once again, well, I guess you pair Russell Wilson with Saquon Barkley. Maybe that's some interest to him. I guess maybe there's a couple of spots there, but I guess Pittsburgh wouldn't make sense. So there's something to look forward to in the offseason. But yeah, so think that's all we really need to talk about this week's games. Can't think of anything else right now. So, like I said, follow me on Twitter at Chopping Podcast. I will tweet out my picks there. I am going to run down them real quickly, but just to let you know, I will tweet them out. Tweet will probably go out at some point Sunday before the games are played. So quickly, my picks for this week. I'm taking Bills minus 14.5. Falcons, I know it's a big number. I'm just going with it. I'm going Jaguars plus 16.5 for the Patriots. I just have a crazy feeling that number is too big. I fully expect the Patriots to win, but 16.5 just, for some reason, just seems crazy to me. I'm taking Bears minus 6 over Giants, even with Andy Dalton starting. I'm going to go Chiefs minus 3.5 with Bengals. Will be a good test for the Bengals to see if the Bengals pull off a win against the Chiefs. They would be a really scary team for the playoffs. But I just feel like they're still kind of young. I think they'll play well against Kansas City, but I think Kansas City pulls that one out. Taking the Titans minus 3 with the Dolphins. I'm not completely sold on Tua. I do think it's going to be a close game, but I think Tennessee finds a way to get the win there. I'm going Colts minus 8.5 over the Raiders. That's going off the assumption that Carson Wentz will play. I'm assuming he'll get the okay from the doctor and play. Although the biggest weapon for the Colts obviously is Jonathan Taylor, but you'd rather have Carson Wentz at quarterback. I'm taking the Bucks minus 13 over the Jets. I'm going to go Washington plus 4.5 with the Eagles. I do think the Eagles win, but I could see that being a field goal type game. That's why I'm going with Washington. I expect Philly to win. Heineke's done some crazier things, so either way, give me Washington plus 4.5. Taking the Rams minus 6 over the Ravens. No Lamar Jackson. Even with Lamar Jackson, I'd go with the Rams anyway. And quick side note on that, the Rams are trying to get that number 1 seed. It is not out of the possibility that they actually get it. I do think with Green Bay getting the Vikings this week with no Kirk Cousins definitely helps them out a lot. So Green Bay will probably clinch the top seed this weekend. Cause they just need to win. But the Rams are gonna go for it. If they can't get that, they're tied with the Cowboys right now at 11-4. So maybe they could get the 2 seed from the Cowboys. But back to the picks. I'm going Chargers minus 7.5 for the Broncos. No Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock. Give me the Chargers in that one easy. Did I say? Yeah, Garoppolo doubtful. I think the 49ers have enough talent that I'm going to take them minus 12.5 over the Texans. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think Lance, with the weapons there, make it happen. I'm going Cardinals plus 6.5 over the Cowboys. Not really sure if the Cardinals win that because the Cardinals have really been slipping, but I don't know. I think the Cowboys get it. I can see it being like a 6-point game. I think with a 6.5, the Cardinals are a safer pick there. I got Saints minus 6.5 for the Panthers. Quick with the Panthers. Funny how a lot of people thought the Panthers were going to make a playoff push when they took Cam Newton. How did that turn out? I do not think they won a game since they had him. Other than the first game, I guess. But he didn't start, so the games that Cam Newton started, I don't think they won any. So I guess people should have calmed down. But anyway, I got Lions plus 7.5, Seahawks. Once again, Neither team's in playoff contention, so not that big of a deal. But I will say the Lions do play hard, and I think because of that, they'll keep it closer than the 7.5 against the Seahawks. Packers minus 13 the Vikings. No Kirk Cousins. That's an easy pick. I'm going Browns minus 3.5 Steelers. It's going to be an emotional game. Maybe Big Ben turns back the clock. I don't see it. Browns have their own issues, but I think the Browns figure it out and get the win there. So those are my picks. Like I said, look out for me on Twitter @ChannelPodcast. I'll tweet them out again Sunday. And keep track there. So there we are. I guess this is as good a place as any to end this episode. But I just will let you know, next episode I'm going to talk about the college football playoff. Those games happened over the New Year's Eve. So I'll talk about those two games. You know, who won them. And I guess on a grander scheme, what did those two games mean, I guess, for playoff expansion or whatever. We'll tie it all in, but I'll talk about that in the next episode. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. I know, like I said in the beginning, it's been about 2 weeks since I put out an episode, but I'm back now and get back into the normal swing of things. So wherever you're listening to this, you can leave a comment or whatever. Let me know if you disagree with any of my picks or whatever. If you like the show, want to leave a comment, do that. If there's something about the show that you don't like, you can leave a comment about that as well. Like I said, I'm always looking for ways to make it better for you guys. So just let me know and see about it. But yeah, so thanks again. Be safe out there. You know, new coronavirus variant and all that. Be safe. God bless, of course. And I'll catch you next episode. All right, I'm out.